It'll be fascinating to see how this goes. It is, of course, a rematch of the 2021 UK Open final, which James Wade won. But since then, Humphries has had the knack of beating the machine. And in the last few meetings, Humphries has been mightily impressive, Dan.
Certainly has. That is a significant meeting, obviously. It's a major final, but it was James Wade's first big stage title for nearly 3 years. And it's also his most recent big stage title, that 2021 UK Open win, James Wade. Luke Humphries, as you say, he's been picking up big stage titles on the European Tour with regularity all the way through last year. This year he's been making the finals, but not getting over the line. Brilliant numbers from the pair of them, hitting more than half their darts at double. Luke Humphries has gone back-to-back 109 averages today. Any more of that for the rest of the evening, and he probably will break his duck on the Euro Tour this year.
Do you know what? There was a word in darts commentary that has almost become antiquated, but I'm going to resurrect it just for the now. The last couple of matches from Humphries have been Taylor-esque. A bit like that 2009 European Championship, which is, I don't care what anybody says, the best and most dominant major championship win in PDC history. But when you do 109 twice in a row, you're playing at the peak of your powers.
Yeah, well, I think back to Michael van Gerwen winning one of these Euro Tour titles, having 110 in the quarters, the semis and the final in succession. That's the sort of thing Humphries is threatening to do today, but he's only got half the job done today. And with James Wade, one of the greatest players in history, and then Dirk van Dijvenbode, a rejuvenated Dirk van Dijvenbode, awaiting in the final.
58.
You cannot take anything for granted. Not that Luke Humphries is. You only had to hear him speak after the quarterfinals, knowing he'd face Wade. But a 13-dart start is a pretty impressive one from Cool Hand.
He's definitely mixing a level of sharpness and freshness because of this break he's been on very well. He looks $1 million. And we're talking about a player who's got a really good conversion rate when it comes to playing in semi-finals on the European Tour. He's been in 10 and he's won 8 of them.
Well, he's won his last 7.
There you go.
The only people to beat him in semi-finals are Gerwyn Price and Michael van Gerwen.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good record. Compared with James Wade, who hasn't played in a Euro Tour semi-final since, well, played in a Euro Tour final, won a semi-final since 2018.
41.
Luke Humphries has got a formula for these Euro Tours, and it works, and it continues to work. He hasn't got the titles that he picked up last year, but he is threatening to make even more finals. Win this game, he's in a 5th final of the year. That's more than he managed last year. And it's more than anybody has ever managed in a single Euro Tour year, apart from Michael van Gerwen and Peter Wright, who's also done 5.
And we're talking about a player who has won semi-finals before to nil twice. He's beaten Bunting here 7-0 last year, and he beat Michael van Gerwen 7-0 before he won his first of 4 European Tour titles. He's just been completely relentless on that treble 20.
Well, you think back to that UK Open final 2021, he smashed up Van Gerwen in the semi-finals of that as well. Double 13. It's another 4-visit leg for Cool Hand Luke.
The leg is Luke to throw first.
Any idea who that guy in the crowd supporting?
I've got a fair eye. I'll take an educated guess.
It's not Peter Wright. Rob Malarkey came up with something really interesting in the previous semi-final. I wonder if you know this. He thinks this might be the first European Tour event ever to never feature anybody from Scotland.
435.
I mean, he might be right, but we're in the 107th event. I'm not so sure. Bearing in mind, several years we didn't have Gary Anderson. But Peter Wright has been in lots of them.
Yeah, it's a really interesting call. We'll get to that. This is an all-English affair, and there have been plenty of those over the last 11 years. James was actually in the very first final against Justin Pipe in 2012. Justin won it.
See, there are plenty of Peter Wright wigs in the crowd. He is an enduringly popular character, but if Luke Humphries continues on his merry way on the Euro Tour, I'm sure he'll pick up a huge amount of fans. I'm not quite sure what they're going to have to get. Maybe the Luke Humphries chest merkin might become a piece of PDC Euro Tour merch.
I said to you earlier, I think he's had a beard since he was 3. Ironically, I think he looks younger now than he did about 5 years ago.
You might be right. Does he stay there? He does to leave double 15.
Good.
Beautiful stuff from James Wade. It's a 4-visit leg of his own.
Hold leg is James to throw first.
I'm not happy about that because he denied us an opportunity for Humphries to get every single 160-plus finish today. We might still get that 160 for the full bingo card.
And there's still time.
108.
We might get something even more notable than that. Because the way that Humphries has been playing, the way that Wade has been playing this weekend, anything could happen.
80.
He's never been noted as someone who will put in massive averages. He's always been noted as this person who can put in monstrous legs. And he's got a lot of 9-darters in his career. In fact, one of his early nicknames was 009. But other players have the reputation of putting in those big figures. But he's looked more likely to do that this week than probably any weekend over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he's been brilliant from the very first start. His lowest average this weekend is a 97.
91.
Great response after going 2-0 down, not letting Luke Humphries tear off into the distance. He certainly did do that when they met the Matchplay a couple of years ago. It was after that defeat at the UK Open, actually. He hammered Wade 10-3 in the first round. A rare first-round exit from Blackpool. Double top for another massive checkout. Oh, James Wade, special stuff. Back-to-back 12s, 150 checkout, then a 130.
Well, that's been done against him in that same sort of style. Do you remember that quarter-final at the Worlds he had against Whitlock, where Whitlock took out 170 and 150 in the same set? I don't quite remember if it was back-to-back, but it was definitely in the same set. But just to back up that statement from the previous leg, that win against Johnny Clayton in this tournament, that was actually his best ever European Tour average.
Yeah.
He might even better it here in the semis. And that would be ominous going into his favourite tournament, which he won 16 years ago.
He did. Really catapult himself into the stratosphere in the world of darts. It's a maximum in response for Cool Hand Luke.
We are averaging more than 180 per leg. There might be more on the horizon. Humphries may even have to hit this 161, but maybe not now.
Luke, you're going to go 161.
That final dart from Wade has cost him a much more manageable finish.
36.
He's not going to get a trifecta of big finishes then. But Humphries has got to stop this rot.
Luke, you're going to go on
Lost the last 2 legs. Admittedly, both in 12 darts.
Does he think about double-double? He does, but he can't get it. And then makes the sensible play to go to the 18s, not chasing the double with the last dart. A lot of players do that in frustration. They can throw it out the board and be in a worse position. But James Wade finds 54, and he finds 24.
54.
Can't believe he's missed that. That's what he's thinking. The Luke chant. And it might just get a little bit louder now. But he has stopped the rot. That's the worst leg of the match, and it's only 16 darts. A little indication of the quality that we've seen. Now, that average for Wade against Clayton, that was his best performance on the European Tour, average-wise, since the 2015 Gibraltar Darts Trophy. What are we starting to see with James this summer? What's clicked? Something has happened, right?
Well, never... James Wade, I'm not saying he's got comfortable, but he's a man who spent much of the last 15 years, happily ensconced in the top 10 in the world, never having to worry about qualifying for things. But there are other players who have started to move above him. Luke Humphries is one of them.
On that note, are we seeing a year from players who refuse to go into the sunset? I'm talking about Gary Anderson. I'm talking about Steve Beaton, back of the match play. Barneveld, back of the match play. Wade, down to 16 in the world. Doesn't want to be 16 in the world. Double 10. This game is going to be just as good as the previous semi-final, if not a lot better, because the averages are sick.
That is a 9th 180. We are only at the start of leg 7.
Collectively in this tournament, they've had 27.
85.
Humphries has got 16, Wade's got 11, and Luke's played one less game.
Oh, more Luke. More.
He hasn't got a 9 darter in the PDC. He's one of the best players not to have one. Put it right.
He hasn't missed a darter double. If he can find 2 more trebles that he wants, can he carry it on for his first 9 darter? No, again we're denied on the 7th dart.
43.
Ordinarily, I would say going to 20 with the last dart there is a mistake, because you'd rather be on 100 instead of 98. But look where James is. He can use this like a 3-dart checkout if he so wishes.
58.
Well, he's been given the time to do that anyway by those 6 perfect darts to start the leg. Oh, this is good. This is excellent.
Somebody pass the oxygen.
Oh,
13 darts. You could watch this all day long and never get sick of it. It's just A grade. Tungsten tossing, it's brilliant.
125.
And the fact that Humphries is so hot right now and Wade is still in with a shout just goes to show the resilience that he still has at the age of 40. You see, you play your best darts in your 40s. I suppose he's about to find out.
Well, what if that's true? What if James Wade hasn't peaked? What if he hasn't reached this peak? Yes, he's dropped down the rankings a bit over the last 2 or 3 years. But what if Wade is going to get better? It's possible.
Anderson won his world titles
86.
after 40. So did Peter Wright. Taylor won a lot after 40. It's what happens. Maybe the mix of experience and determination, maybe that's what you need to be for a world champion these days.
59. Change to 136.
Well, Luke had a nice, comfortable leg on throw thanks to his scoring in the previous one. James Wade is looking for a comfortable one here.
96.
Personally, I think he's done himself a favour. Not deliberately, but hitting the 20 there to leave the shot at tops ultimately, because I think he'd rather be on that than double 8.
100.
Another. That's 12.
And just like the last leg, Wade hit a 180 to pressure Humphries. He stood up to it. Humphries returns the favour, and Wade misses his first big error in this game.
Luke is thinking, make him pay for that. 2 18s.
40. Change required 20.
That was a rather large miss at double 18 for Luke. Missed by a centimetre. Does this miss? It does.
James Wade has missed 6 darts for this leg, and we might see Luke Humphries re-establish a 2-leg gap. He went 2-0 up, he was pegged back. But he can't take advantage.
Somebody has put the goalkeepers on the doubles all of a sudden.
10.
Humphries couldn't believe he came back. Wade is in disbelief that he's coming back. And he finally takes the leg in 19 darts. By far the worst leg of the match, but one of the most crucial.
Well, one of the worst legs that these two have been involved in all weekend, because quite frankly, they're not used to being involved in legs going longer than 15, 16, 17 darts. A lot of them have been done in 4 visits to the board. They've been that good, and they're back on it again. It is yet another maximum. It's 13 in this game. We are in leg 9.
Here's what's laughable.
93.
That was a scrappy last leg, and James is still averaging over 108. That emphasises just how good the rest of the match has been.
99.
Well, I can't tell you off the top of my head what the record number of 180s in a Euro Tour game is, but we must be threatening to break. If they carry on at this rate, they'll obliterate it, surely.
Individually, isn't it Darryl Gurney with 9 or something?
Yeah, Michael Smith also hit 9, but I think that was then bettered by Peter Wright in a semi-final where he had 10. But I don't know it combined. James Wade doesn't need to stay in the 20s here. Yeah.
58.
Thinking clearly, but he's not left himself an easy check out.
It's not often you see James Wade laughing on stage. He's in a very relaxed mood, isn't he?
96. 164.
Might be a bit more pumped up if this goes. Not on this occasion. I know I bring it up a lot, but 88 won this title 4 years ago. It will win leg 9. And it was done this way. Just like that.
That is such composure from Luke Humphries. He missed 4 darts to break in the previous leg. He's got James Wade sat on a double, waiting to break himself. And then he pops that 88 as if it's absolutely nothing. And Wade is back on his 180 madness again. It's 7 apiece.
I've seen James play in World Championship quarterfinals over the best of 9 sets and not get 7 maximums. This is getting silly. Oh, it's there. And he has got a history of 9s.
There was genuinely a pause to the crowd. They didn't think that last dart was in. It was. It's 6 perfect. Can James Wade succeed where Luke Humphries failed? 1-4-1 for the perfect leg. It is on. Treble 19. It's closer than we've been so far this weekend, but not close enough for the fans in Trier.
The way that these guys are playing, I wouldn't be surprised if we'll get one later in the match.
48.
To draw level. Now we go to best of 3 from here. This is very good. Wade in personal best territory in his statistics. This is one of the most impressive James Wade performances I have ever seen. And bearing in mind that he's been in, get this, 172 semi-finals in the last 21 years. This has got to be one of the best performances of his career.
It might not be enough.
Exactly.
He's won 5 legs. 4 of them have been in 11 or 12 darts.
If you're interested, he's won 88 of those semi-finals in the last 21 years. And he's got plenty of titles to show for it. And he's won 180 away from double figures. Oh, come on. There's only so much we can take.
How are they doing this? How are they continuing to do this? Another one in there to leave a 2-darter. Oh, that's one of those situations where the difference between a single and a treble is enormous.
It's a tricky ton to get now. Even he couldn't squeeze that through. This would be seismic if he can find this.
He has not led in this game, James Wade. He may lead in a couple of seconds' time. Oh, it would have left double 10 his favourite.
But he's left tops. Humphries couldn't from his 140 position. But he does get 2. Only needs the 1. Another clinical take from the defending champion. The 88 and the 80 checkouts have been unbelievable.
He is wading James Wade. The potentially awkward checkouts are just disappearing as James Wade hits a 10th 180 in this contest. I think that may be equaling the record. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The game is what matters, and the game is astonishing.
That's the thing that's so ridiculous, Dan. He could have 10 180s in the game and lose it.
He could have his best average on the Euro Tour. He could have one of his best averages in his career. He could still lose it.
They are so calm right now. The two players who are white hot. Listen to the crowd. Nobody's chanting. Nobody's singing. Everybody's watching.
They're exhausted. They've been up and down off their seats 17 times cheering 180s. A 140 would get him to a great finish. He's got it. 127 for Luke Humphries to break. It is so makeable, particularly for a player who's been finding treble so regularly.
97.
He'd love to get it done now to stop Wadey from having a chance in a last leg shootout. No chance. But Wade now has the turn at 80. Can he do what Humphries did in the previous leg? It's double 10. It's not there, and Humphries has a chance to put Wade away.
They can require 40.
Luke Humphries is doing James Wade's game better than James Wade, and he punishes him on tops. It is 7-5, and Luke Humphries once again is in the final on the European Tour. An astonishing game of darts.